Men in flat caps and boiler suits built this country, and men with ties and fancy briefcases destroyed it. Fred Dibner, Balls of Steel. What do you want for Christmas, Tommy? I want a little brother. Every little helps. And on a more serious point here, on a pension or benefits, attention. Please inform anyone you know on a pension, I think that's supposed to be pension, or it says person, or benefit that are struggling to meet a rent excess over and above housing benefit allowance and or council tax payments. There is a non-advertised benefit available from your local council, a discretionary payment. Ask for an application for discretionary housing payment council tax discretionary relief form. Take your time when you fill it in and read it carefully. You only get one shot at this. Get what you are entitled to. And as far as I'm aware, you can actually do this online as well. So if you're computer illiterate, there's something else for you to go for. Boris Johnson says UK should support EU army in wake of Brexit. Like I've been saying all along, there is no way we are leaving Europe, and there is the evidence. Proposals to boost military cooperation could see a joint EU military command as well as increased defence spending. This was Thursday 13th of October, although it was 2016, but it's still be going on today. The UK cannot reasonably stand in the way of any potential EU army after voting for Brexit, Boris Johnson has said. The Foreign Secretary said, "We should be prepared to be supportive of the European Union creating its own defence capability should it come to that." In other words, a armed dictatorship. Speaking to the Common Foreign Affairs Committee, he said that rather than trying to block attempts to develop a common EU defence policy, the UK should instead be looking at ways to offer support. Defence Secretary Sir Michael Fallon has made it clear he takes the opposite view, saying the UK would oppose any proposal for an EU army or centralised headquarters. Bear in mind this is 2016 and now we've got it, and Johnson is still saying we need to be in it. Mr Johnson said that while any defence pact which undermined the power of NATO would a bad idea. I think that would be a bad idea, but maybe they can't write in these newspapers, which of course they can't. The UK should be prepared to cooperate militarily with the EU once it has left the bloc. And here we are 3.5 years later and we haven't left anything. And a real story here. 11 million Germans were murdered after World War II. Just let that sink in for a minute there. 11 million Germans were murdered by us and our supposed comrades. Murdered on purpose. Now, if the 6 million Jews was even real, which the majority of evidence proves that it was a made-up lie, that is far worse than anything that they're trying to push down our throats. The book, Gruesome Harvest, the Allied attempt to exterminate Germans after 1945, should be on the mandatory high school and college reading list for history and sociology. But it won't, because they don't want you to know that. They want you to believe the bullshit that they're trying to ram down your throat. It is one of the few books that are available in English that addresses the murder of millions of non-combat German civilians and German prisoners of war from 44 to 50 as a matter of deliberate Allied policy, not efficient logistics as it is most often presented in schools' textbooks. It is important because this book was written as it was still happening and includes comments from eyewitnesses in the same time period. The book is not politically correct and shocked me because it speaks in such a prejudicial fashion about persons of the black race. Now you're not going to know whether this is good or bad. I see it as being bad, but there is a bonus side to it. Councils could soon take over speeding fines, which could mean driving points are axed. Motorists could be slapped with even more speeding fines, as councils may soon receive power to issue tickets for offences instead of police officers. In other words, they're just thieving from us even more. The safety crackdown, of course it's for your own benefit, will see councils given the tools to fine road users who commit low-level speeding offences. The plans would see some light speeding decriminalised as formal charges and switch them to civil matters for councils to monitor. So for councils to thieve and make money off. That's all that really means. Again, let's go after the motorist. Local areas could then issue fines to residents that break the rules of the road without motorists suffering severe penalties. Yeah, like leaving your engine running and parking more than a foot away from the curb. Council fines will mean speeding residents will not be hit with points on a driving licence for offences such as slightly speeding in a 20 zone. Well, you're supposed to be allowed 10% anyway, but it's just a money-making scam. Motorists are currently fined 100 and given 3 points on a driving licence for speeding offences, with the money going straight to the Treasury. The new proposal would see local councils keep the cash, which could be pushed back into rejuvenating local areas, but that's not what would happen. It would just be quaffed on the caviar and Bollinger. That's all that would ever happen. Because that's all that ever happens when they get a load of money. It never goes to those that need it, it goes to themselves, because that's all they ever think about is themselves. Usury, the root cause of all problems on the planet. Debt slavery, central banks, wars, assassinations, New World Order, solutions. Usury, the root cause of all problems on the planet. Debt slavery, central banks, wars, assassinations. The action of practice of lending money at unreasonably high rates of interest. Many would suggest that the correct definition of using usury is lending money with any amount of interest. I am basing this article around this book, A History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind by Stephen Mitford Goodson. I have read around the subject using a wide variety of sources and watched various documentaries, and this is an excellent book of the subject and forms a good base for his topic. So I am looking at this subject from his historical perspective. This perspective highlights how important that this usurious debt slavery banking system, there it is in black and white, we are debt slaves, is to the Zionists and the New World Order agenda. All wars have been bankers' wars. There is much we can learn from our own real history regarding solutions to the world problems, and not the bullshit history that we are force-fed by the corrupt. I'm not going to go into this too much. I am recovering from stage 4 lung cancer using Spooky2 Scalar and GX. I'm going to put a link in description, but basically he's using a type of Rife machine, and he's cured his cancer. And I've looked into that sort of thing before, and from what I gather, it does work, or it can work. I've not looked into this, so this would be a case of you deciding whether it could be of any benefit to you or not. As I said, links will be in the description. Swinson, the leader of the Lib Dems, fails to declare family company was given €3.5 million by the European Union. Well, no conflict of interest there then, is there? Because they have said they would definitely abandon Article 50, which is bullshit anyway, and stay in the EU. And I wonder why. Was it because the European Union has backhanded them £3.5 million, or the equivalent of? Certainly looks that way, doesn't it? She voted for the LibCon bedroom tax. Evil bitch. That mired millions of the poorest in costs they could not afford. She voted for the LibCon welfare reforms, which attacked the finances of those least able to withstand the onslaught. She voted for the LibCon policy to treble the tuition fees on students least able to pay them. Could it get worse for Joe Swinson? In a word, yes. They're all bought and paid for assholes. In it for themselves and not us. As anyone that looks logically at things can see they never do one single thing for our benefit. It's always some form of taxation because that's how they keep us in slavery. The Times. Ex-Labour Minister fears Corbyn is threat to national security. No, Parliament is a threat to national security. China tries to gag UK universities. Beijing targets critics of on campus. MPs warn. Campaigners delighted as Queen bids for farewell. Well, we all know where she should be bidding it from. Express. Unrealistic EU leader blasts Corbyn Brexit plan. You know, the piss head there. Junker, or should that be drunker? TV's Anne, I thought I'd never work again. You don't work. You distract the masses. That's all you do. Revolutionary NHS gene screening. DNA tests at birth to save lives. No, don't fall for that bullshit. It's DNA tests at birth to see if you're compatible for these scumbags to steal your organs. That's all it's really about. Queen takes the lead and goes fur-free. Oh, yeah. But she's still eating the adrenochrome of kids that's in murders, isn't she? Waste of paper. Grinches ruin Christmas. 27 days of festival, rail and postal strike chaos. Oh, no, not postal strike chaos. How will we ever survive? Yeah, we will just because we can. The scum. Bojo sounds Brexit bugle. Yeah. Campaigners glee. God save Fur Queen. Her Madsbands pelt from all new outfits. Angelina hits out at Brad. Looks like she's got some tits there, so maybe she didn't get them cut off, which I never believed she did in the first place anyway. And of course they'll say that's a picture from before she had them cut off, but I don't believe she ever had them cut off in the first place. Just the bullshit. And let's not forget, she's a self-confessed Illuminati member. Daily fail. How could my little boy go from this to a county lines drug killer? Haunting story that will chill every mother. Rail unions Christmas misery for millions. Corbyn's militant pals to wreck major routes for a month. Oh, yeah, but how can we blame someone for something that's got, well, yeah. Single and loving it. Why do they keep pushing that? Oh, because they don't want us to have kids there, do they? Oh, it's The Guardian, by the way. Rees-Mogg condemned over remarks on Grenfell. They don't give a shit about anyone or anything. The only thing they give a shit about is putting money in their pockets and stealing as much as they possibly can from the public purse, which they are very, very good at. Steer clear of climate and NHS pledges, Tories told. Yeah, because we can't uphold the lies very often, and it's obvious that we'd be lying there. And while we're back to the Grenfell, this is about the people who govern as lacking the most basic humanity or empathy, because they don't give a shit. They've all sold their souls. Aye, this is the moment for seismic changes. Jo Swinson rallies up the Lib Dems in Bournemouth because she's just been handed €3.5 million. So we're definitely staying if it's anything to do with her, because she's a bought and paid for traitor. Tories drop pledge to cut student tuition fees. Manifesto won't include 7,500 limit. In other words, we're paying you. You've got to pay to get any type of education, but even that would be the dumbed down education. You want the real education where you find out what's really going on. Unfortunately, you've got to go to Eton, and yes, you've got to pay a shitload of money, but they get taught how the financial system really works, along with how virtually everything really works, and not how we are taught, the slave labour race. How the Bake Off family helped me tackle anxiety. I can't believe anyone watches Bake Off. Jeez. But of course, according to certain MPs, you have to because we can't cook. Rees-Mogg grounded by Tories. Downing Street uncomfortable with high media profile of Commons leader in recent months. Brexiteer set to be reined in to limit potential for further controversial controversies ahead of 12th December poll. Profoundly sorry for implying Grenfell victims lacked common sense for obeying fire service and staying put. Yeah, stay there. Stay in the burning building. Yeah, you'll be fine. Be a little bit overcooked, but you'll be fine. And, well, we just can't be asked to do anything. Oh, by the way, we know that in a few months' time or a few years' time, we'll get a load of commendations for getting you all burnt anyway, but who cares? Not the government. Saracen scandal. Rivals demand relegation. Rail staff to strike at Christmas. Oh no. Turtle or octopus? What type of lover you are? Surfs Up Inland. Our review tries a new way to learn surfing. And is Jilly Cooper's Riders really one of the 100 novels that shaped our world? Probably not. Mirror. You scum. Starstormzy attacks Rees-Mogg over sickening Grenfell comment. But he just carries on as normal because, you know, every now and again they slip up and they let you know what they really think. And it seems to be happening more now, doesn't it? Which is a cool thing. Whamtastic. First review of the Christmas movie everyone will be watching. Birth test revolution. Brit DNA breakthrough will save thousands of kids from killer diseases. And we'll also have a full DNA breakdown of every child born so we know which organs we can steal to prolong our lives. And we'll just say that the kid died in whatever excuse we make up, because that's what normally happens. That's why they invented this SIDS, sudden infant death bullshit, because it's either to do with the vaccines or it was a way of stealing children. Telegraph. The tragedy of the modern Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn is that they detest the profit motive so viscerally. They point their fingers at individuals with a relish and a vindicateness not seen since Stalin persecuted the Kulkas. Anything but independent. Untold suffering. Unprecedented warning from 11,000 scientists in 153 nations about the future of humanity as they declare a global climate emergency. Now, if you remember in yesterday's cast, I read out that list of bullshit that we'd been told since about the early 60s. And it was all scaremongering bullshit. And here they are having another go, because that's what they keep them in fear. You'll keep them under control. Let them lose the fear, we lose control. And that's why all these false flags are being used as well, to try and keep control those that are too dumb to see through it. Metro. The Man 66 exclusive preview ticket. Right? No more for Stormzy. Mogg has to quit. Rapper fury over Grenfell insult. Yeah, so he quits, but he carries on, and then a few months down the line, he's back in a position of more bullshit. Why are we put up with this shit? I just don't know. Financial Times. Javid furious as top civil servant blocks pricing of Labour's pledge. Blocks price, I don't know. Release of Treasury costings barred. Cabinet Secretary Sedwell defends impartiality. Yeah, good luck with impartiality. Boots owner in 70 billion private equity talks aimed at world's biggest buyout. And almost finally, joke of the day. Do you believe in life after death? The boss asked one of his employers. Yes, sir, the new recruit replied. Well then, that makes everything fine. Just fine, the boss went on. After you left early yesterday to go to your grandmother's funeral, she stopped in to see you. Well, we were supposed to be Cleopatra and Caesar. Classic case of miscommunication. And doesn't she look pissed at him? How it feels when you're trying to pull someone out of false doctrine.